Today we're going to wind down the week and take a look at some recent polling. A lot of states to get through, including Virginia, New York, Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama, and Texas. But we're going to start here in New Jersey. And just like with every pollster on here, take it somewhat with a grain of salt, but don't totally dismiss it either. There's always going to be better and worse pollsters, but we're here to just take a look at the main highlights. So big race here for governor coming up in less than 2 months. And this poll from Quinnipiac has Mikey Sherrill leading Jack Ciattarelli by 8%. If you look a little more closely at the numbers, it's Sherrill the Democrat at 49 and Ciattarelli the Republican at 41. And there's going to be 6% that are undecided. So it looks like a clear but not overwhelming advantage for Sherrill. He's not totally out of it. He's hoping for a late surge after debates and right before Election Day. We've got Democrats backing Sherrill 93-3 and Republicans backing Ciattarelli 90-5. Independents are going for Sherrill 45-41. Then without any third-party candidates, in a head-to-head matchup, Sherrill is at 51, Ciattarelli 42. Another 7% undecided. With enthusiasm, it looks like Ciattarelli actually has a tiny advantage. 88% are very or somewhat enthusiastic, and with Sherrill, it's 85%. With favorability, Ciattarelli's unfavorables are going to be 10% higher, but 29% have not heard enough about Sherrill compared to 21 for Ciattarelli. So we're starting to get toward that home stretch. This is going to be where people are going to pay more attention, and potentially if things are going to change, this is when it would start to happen. But as much as the state moved toward the right in the last election, it's still undeniably a blue state. So we'll see if Ciattarelli makes it interesting at the end, or if Sherrill ends up winning by 5 to 10 points. With so much data here, we've got to rapidly move on to the next one. We've got Virginia. This is from Christopher Newport University. The Wasson Center has this poll out showing Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat, ahead by 12 points over Winsome Sears with likely voters. It's 1 point narrower for lieutenant governor and a little bit narrower than that for the AG race, but still the Dems are in control here. Spanberger is at 52, Sears is at 40, 8% undecided. That's a comfortable margin there for Spanberger. It would take a pretty big collapse or a big polling error for Winsome Sears to be able to pull it out at this point. I always say anything could happen. 4 years ago when Youngkin won, he wasn't really leading in the polls, and he wasn't even making it really that competitive until about a couple of weeks out. Youngkin's approval rating here is at 48%. For Trump, it's at 39. Now, there's a ton more data here. We could go down and look at just a bit of it. Spanberger is getting 95% of Democrats. Independents are also clearly breaking for Spanberger, 55-32. Given the blue lead of the state, Sears is going to have to cut into those numbers more than a little bit. Even with her own party, Sears is getting 91% of Republicans. She's got to at least get that up into the mid-90s. So as of now, it looks like Democrats are just a little bit less dominant for the lieutenant governor's race and for attorney general. But the advantage for both of those firmly sits with the Dems. Down here, you've got more crosstabs. You've also got favorability ratings and a bunch of other data. It's here if you want to take a look at it. As always, all the links will be down below in the description. But we've got to keep going. Here comes the Georgia Senate race for next year. This is from Quantus Insights. And they actually polled a general election here. The Dems have Jon Ossoff. Republicans don't know if it's going to be Mike Collins, Buddy Carter, or Derek Dooley. Either way, according to this poll, Ossoff only tops off at 42% against Dooley, who's at 35. Against Carter, Ossoff leads by 3, 40-37, and against Mike Collins, it's dead even at just 38%. So a lot of undecideds there. Ossoff is vulnerable because the state is considered to be purple, but he does have that incumbency advantage, and Republicans don't have that top-tier candidate, so it should be likely to be a very competitive race. We've got 53% call the cost of living and inflation the greatest problem facing the state. That's an opening there for the Dems, both because of the party in the White House as well as Brian Kemp in charge of the state. But then immigration here favors the Republicans. Only 31% believe Ossoff has done enough to secure the border. And the GOP has a 17-point advantage over the Dems on crime and illegal immigration. But on the economy and inflation, then the parties fight to a draw. So Ossoff is sitting back now waiting to see who his competitor is going to be. There's all kinds of different dynamics about how much loyalty there's going to be to Trump, what kind of messaging there should be on both sides. And is this increasingly blue state going to get even bluer, or do Republicans have one last win in them here for the Senate? In these head-to-head matchups, 1 in 5 voters remain undecided. So So it's unclear who's going to win. I know Kemp has endorsed Derek Dooley. He seems to be behind a little bit right now, but plenty of time left, still well over a year until this election. But the next one is going to be for North Carolina. This is from Harper Polling. And the big race there is also for the U.S. Senate. It's an open seat and something could change, but right now it looks like it's going to be Michael Whatley for the GOP against Roy Cooper for the Dems. The issue that matters most here is cost of living and inflation at 29%. The direction of the country is on the wrong track at 53.7. That is the highest in the past 10 months. For the generic congressional ballot, Republicans are at 46, Dems 44.4. Just a little bit of variation there over the past year. Now, what about in the U.S. Senate? Roy Cooper is the former governor. He's fairly popular. Michael Whatley, the former RNC chair, he's at 41.9. Cooper has ticked down a little over a point since August. Meanwhile, Whatley has gone up just a little bit. So a slight narrowing, but Cooper's still in the lead by more than 4 points. This should be competitive. It really could go either way, in my opinion. Trump's approval is at 49.4. Slightly above water, his disapproval is at 49. A bit of an improvement there since the August poll. And Josh Stein, he's still rocking the same approval rating, 50.5. His disapproval is just 31.1. And that dynamic seems to be working in North Carolina, where you've got a Republican legislature and a Democrat in the governor's mansion. Sometimes that's the secret sauce to maintaining political popularity. There's definitely more down below here on this poll, but we've got to keep moving. We're going to go to New York, and here's a Siena College poll. And this is a pretty good poll for Governor Kathy Hochul. Let's go down here. Her approval rating is above water, 45 to 42. That's the highest since January of 24. So if she's bounced back, then I would assume her vulnerability in a primary is going to be fizzling. But of course, there's still going to be vulnerabilities. 23% of voters say crime in the state has gotten better. That's over the past year. 38% say it stayed the same. 35% say it's gotten worse. With Democrats, 61% view Hochul favorably. With Republicans, 71% view her unfavorably. Independents are in the middle. 48% say unfavorable. With independents, 48% say unfavorable. So if it is Hochul, who's she going to face in the general election? Well, it's unclear, but right now the talk seems to be about Elise Stefanik. Now in this poll, Hochul actually hits 50%. She's at 52, Stefanik just 27. So Hochul gaining a little bit more support there from her own party. But at the same time, Stefanik has fallen from 75 to 68. That's from her own team. Independents last month, who were with Stefanik, are actually now with Hochul this month, 43 to 25. So this race is totally fluid. There's a lot of volatility. And there's also going to be a ton of undecideds here. So it's a massive lead right now, but it looks like Republicans are just not sure who they're going to support yet. Over the next year, there's likely to be a bunch of consolidation behind one candidate. Is Stefanik the strongest? Maybe, maybe not. But even if she is the strongest, Hochul is still going to have the advantage. This is New York. This is not a red state. Again, there's more down here in this poll. Take a look at it if you'd like. This should be a pretty good race. I know Republicans are hoping to make some gains in this pretty big state, but Dems would have to blow it pretty hard if they're actually going to lose this one. Let's keep going. Next up, we've got Alabama. This is for the GOP primary in the U.S. Senate race next year. It is an open seat because Tommy Tuberville is running for governor. Here we've got Attorney General Steve Marshall. He's in the lead. And the easiest way to show this is going to be to go down here and take a look at the graph. Can make it a little bit bigger here, but right now Steve Marshall is in the lead with 37. Barry Moore trails with 16%. Everybody else is down from there, but look at this one here on the right. This is 40% for undecided. I would guess Marshall would eventually get most of that, but he's not totally dominating where nobody else has a chance. Now this is all just for that primary, and they also take a look at the lieutenant governor's race and the attorney general's race. Both of those have a sizable majority that say they're not sure. Those races are just starting to get going. For the LG race, Wes Allen is the one in the lead at 28%. And if you want to take a look at the favorability ratings, we've got them right here. Keep in mind, it's just with GOP primary voters. But Katie Britt and Tommy Tuberville are at the top. And in terms of the name recognition, 21% have never heard of Steve Marshall. And with Barry Moore, that number goes up to 40% that have just never heard of him. I always think it's embarrassing when you're elected statewide and you have a good chunk of voters in your own state that don't know who you are. So we're going to wrap it up here with Texas. This is on Punchbowl News for the U.S. Senate. And this is an internal poll from Wesley Hunt. He's not officially in this race yet, but he might be challenging both Ken Paxton and incumbent John Cornyn. If he does, according to his own numbers, in a three-way race, Paxton is in the lead with 38, Cornyn at 28, and Hunt at 23. That's with 842 GOP primary voters. Now again, the thing with Hunt is his name ID is lower. Cornyn and Paxton, those are household names in Texas. I've said for a while now there is an opening here for Hunt. He could be the compromise candidate between the more establishment and maybe more moderate Cornyn and the more outside the box but potentially riskier Ken Paxton. In a head-to-head matchup, Hunt actually leads Paxton 39-38 against Cornyn. Then Hunt clearly leads 46-37. And it notes here that Senate Republicans are in the middle of a multi-million-dollar rescue mission to boost Cornyn's polling numbers. This should be a great race, more so on the Republican side. Dems have their own battles shaping up on their side, but if it is Paxton, then this race is going to get much more national attention than if it were against Cornyn. Dems are hoping they have a chance in that kind of scenario. Hunt is the wild card here, but I think he'd be a reasonable candidate in the general election. So that's what we've got here for some recap of last week's polling. I've got to wrap it up there, so let me know in the comments. What do you think about any of the polling I covered in this video? Anything changing in the races this year in Virginia or New Jersey? What about next year, the general election? Is it way too early to really take a look at any numbers? And what's going to happen in some of these important primaries next year? Let me know what you think down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.